Hello crafty friends, it's Louise here. Welcome back to my channel Create with Louise. And today I'm trialling something I haven't made before, and that's vintage cards. And I'm using the Close to My Heart stamp of the month for September, and it's called Thoughtful Tokens. And I think this will lend itself really well to creating some vintage style cards. So I'll do 2 cards with this particular stamp. I've started with some mink cardstock for an A2 card, so that's 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches, and I've used some mocha ink and a blending brush, and I've just gone around the edges. So that's the first step in creating something aged. I have a piece of mocha cardstock, 5.25 inches by 4 inches. And we'll just leave an 1/8 of an inch around the edge. Now I've got a piece of linen cardstock, and it's going to measure the same, 5.25 by 4 inches. And as we move through the aging process to create this card, you'll see why I've left it at the same size. I will use mink ink and this stamp. So this stamp here, I think the script type stamps suit the vintage style stamps cards very well. And I just want it fairly light. So we'll just do second generation. Actually, I think we'll do it first generation. Yep. So we're going to do that all over this piece. Like that. So that was mink ink on mink cardstock. Next we're going to do something I haven't done before, and you may find it a bit hard to do this step, but we're going to really age it by crumpling up our cardstock. And this is why we needed it the same size as the mocha cardstock, because once we unravel it, bring back our card, flatten it out a bit, it has got a little smaller because of the texture we've created, and therefore we'll have a very small nice border around the edge. So the next step is our blending brush and some mocha ink. Tap it off, don't want too much on there, and gently go over the top. So we're just trying to get ink on these crumpled portions, not so much all over it, but getting those raised areas there. If you feel you need a bit more, like there, then add a few more. But I think that's quite good. Not looking for even coverage at all. Then using plenty of adhesive, because we've created all this texture. We'll pop that directly onto our mocha cardstock on the card front. Okay. Now I've gone ahead and cut this portion out, stamped it in espresso ink on mink cardstock. I've fussy cut it, and then I've done a second stamping, and we're going to pop, and I just cut out the butterfly and we're going to pop that on there. So we'll do that now. I've used thin foam tape. We'll take it up and we'll get those script going straight across the page. There we are. I've got some foam also for my butterfly, just thin. And before I do that, I'm going to add a little bit of ink around the, I'll use espresso, and I'll just pop a bit of ink around the edge of the butterfly, and that will just help that stand out a little bit from the image below. Now we'll add our sentiment here, just with some glue. You'll need to hold it for a little bit because of the texture we've created. And then I went into my stash from something from probably 10 years ago and found some great little gems that are just going to suit this card perfectly. And that's our first card complete. So for this next card, we're going to have a piece of black cardstock attached to the card front, 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. Piece of linen cardstock, and I'm using the lighter side of the linen. That's 5.25 inches by 4 inches. And we're going to start some background stamping with charcoal in second generation stamping. And we're going to use this image again. So I've still got the writing the correct way up, even though it's going to be in the background and you're not really going to be able to read it. Next, I'm going to do some blending with charcoal, tap off the excess, and we're just going to go in around the edges, creating a vignette. So it's just going to be darker around the edges and lighter into the centre. I'm just coming in a little further at the corners. Okay, perfect. Now another way to create an aged look is background stamps. So I've grabbed this one out called Design Elements, so it's a new one out in the current catalogue from Close to My Heart, and this is the one I'm going to use, some dots. And I again will do second generation, and I'm just going to go around the edges, even going third and fourth generation. So that it's just light at the background. Now, if you don't have background stamps, what else we can do, I'm going to put some ink, squeeze the ink pad to the lid, a water brush, bit of water, and we can do some splatters. This is another way. Okay. So there we have our background. Now we're going to use that same image in the center. So I've turned it around, I want it up this way. And we're going to ink it up really well in intense black, and then we're going to stamp on the center of our card front. Don't rush this part of it, press down firmly over the whole lot, no rush, and then up. So I just wanted to have a deeper, darker image on the front. Then I'm going to pop this. Now I made this using 2 of these brackets. I just placed them together, the 2 sizes, so that I could make a frame. So I'm going to use 3D foam to pop it up. And just get the margins around it even, top and bottom to the side, that's good enough. Okay, then I've got a thinking of you sentiment, and we're just going to pop that across there. Before I do that, I'll pop it onto my card front. So these are fairly quick and easy cards to put together. You don't need too many supplies. I just don't have very many frames, so I made my own. But it's all about stamping and layering, adding some splatters, blending brushes. So I'm going to add one on either side here and at each end. And I'm going to use some of those old gems from my stash. And another card complete. Thank you for joining me today while we've created these vintage style cards. I hope you've been able to learn something new so that you can recreate them. I'm so pleased you've been able to join me, and if it's the first time, it'd be wonderful if you subscribed and click that like button. It really helps grow my channel. I hope you have a great crafty week, and I will catch you next time.